They ignored the fact that you got chartered flights because of this girl. They ignored the fact that ratings were going through the roof because of this girl. Instead, they resented it because they said, yo, we were doing stuff long before Caitlin Clark got here, and y'all wasn't paying attention then. But now the young white girl comes along, and y'all want to sit up there and shower all of this praise and all of this attention that was earned before she ever came along. The resentment is understandable, but it's not about Caitlin Clark. It's about what she represents. My point is, grow up.
Recognizing the power of one unstoppable star can be thrilling for some and infuriating for others. Sports commentator Stephen A. Smith had been shouting from every available platform that Caitlin Clark was not just a rookie sensation. She was the show. He argued that she single-handedly unlocked better media coverage, bigger crowds, and those elusive chartered flights the league always wanted. Stephen A. didn't mince words either. He called out the league for dragging its feet, ignoring that Clark was the rising tide that could lift all boats.
The Indiana Fever announced that star Caitlin Clark will be out at least 2 weeks with a left quad strain. Clark reported some pain in her leg Saturday after the team's loss to the New York Liberty. She subsequently underwent an MRI and was diagnosed with the strain on Monday.
Angel Reese, meanwhile, wasn't as convinced. Although she respected Clark's game, she felt overshadowed. Others chimed in on both sides, some echoing Stephen A.'s sentiments, others accusing him of being too fixated on Clark's star power. Fans took to comment sections, duking it out, over whether or not the hype was fair, or if the WNBA should be about teamwork and shared glory. One thing was clear: love her or hate her, everyone was talking about Caitlin Clark.
Clark was the WNBA's Rookie of the Year last season and a first-team All-WNBA selection. So far, she's averaging 19 points and a league-leading 9.3 assists through 4 games this season. I could give a damn about that last part. I don't care about her leading the league in assists. I don't care about the points that she's averaging because I already know that the young lady can ball. She is special. What I'm interested in is what somebody tweeted me and asked about earlier today that I want to show you right now. Put this tweet up, please, so our audience can see it here. At 4th Gen Bucci, B-U-C-C-I, right? Stephen A. Smith, can the WNBA keep itself afloat while CC, as in Caitlin Clark, is out?
And that's exactly what the league had been waiting for, though. They seemed hesitant to admit it. For years, the WNBA pushed for recognition. They experimented with new branding, introduced marketing campaigns, and leaned on a roster of talented athletes who never got the consistent spotlight they deserved. Attendance numbers often stumbled, and TV viewership goals felt like they were always a step behind. Then Caitlin Clark showed up, fresh off a college career that drew record attention for women's basketball. Clark didn't just join the league, she set it on fire. On opening night, arenas sold more tickets than they had in years. Fans lined up for her autograph. Suddenly, ESPN was airing Fever games at more convenient slots and seeing unexpected viewership spikes.
Thanks to Clark, Indiana led the league in attendance both at home and on the road. The Fever averaged 17,035 fans at home and over 15,000 on the road. 4 teams moved home games to bigger arenas when Indiana came to town to accommodate more fans. That's about Caitlin Clark. How do we know this? Attendance for the entire league was up nearly 50% last year. According to data from across the timeline, and Indiana led all teams with an average attendance of 17,035. That was up 319% from.
It was as though the league had struck gold. But that wasn't the whole story. A handful of respected WNBA voices publicly questioned the hype. Was it too much? Too soon? Had the league pinned its entire future on one person? Critics rolled their eyes, but the numbers didn't lie. Clark was flipping the script on a league that craved an icon, but also felt uneasy about investing all its hopes in her. There's a saying that success can breed envy, and this phenomenon leapt to life around Caitlin Clark.
We'll find out. We don't know yet, but I'm going to be really interested in seeing, Molly, what kind of effect this has on the WNBA's ratings, because if for some reason there is a precipitous drop-off, then everybody needs to stand down and recognize the fact that the speculation or the assertions and assumptions about her being the golden goose is validated.
Veteran players who had been in the league for years couldn't help but notice how quickly her star rose. They remembered times they led their teams to victory, with barely a mention on SportsCenter. Now it seemed that every highlight reel was stamped with Clark's face. This caused tension, especially for players like Angel Reese and others who had their own proud track records. On social media, the debate was raw and loud. Some fans applauded Clark, praising her smooth shooting and highlight passes, but others insisted that the media was focusing on her because of her background, or her marketability factor. Accusations flew. Heated Twitter threads brought up the difference in coverage given to longtime stars, some of them women of color, compared to Clark's immediate fame. Although many recognized that Clark had earned her day in the sun, the resentment simmered, turning into a distraction that overshadowed the unifying potential behind her success. If critics needed evidence of Clark's jaw-dropping effect, they only had to look at the numbers. Whenever Clark was in uniform, the Indiana Fever's home court was packed. People crammed into seats, well beyond the usual tallies from previous seasons. TV networks saw it too. ESPN went from struggling to keep fans for women's basketball telecasts to hitting new highs in WNBA ratings. Sponsors jumped in to buy ad spots during Fever games, leading to noticeable spikes in merchandise sales, jerseys with her name, t-shirts honoring her signature moves, and even posters for local fans. Statistics showed that viewership for a typical WNBA game could hover around a certain range, but whenever Caitlin Clark took the floor, the numbers soared. This wasn't a small blip either. Some matchups featuring Clark topped 1 million viewers, a figure rarely touched by the WNBA. That's when certain observers realized that the entire league might depend on Clark's success. If that sounds like an exaggeration, try explaining it to fans in half-empty arenas on nights when Clark was missing.
Unfortunately, though, the celebration in the WNBA, it was cut short yesterday afternoon as WNBA players learned the harsh lesson: be careful what you wish for. Headline at the New York Post: Caitlin Clark sidelined with Indiana Felines announcing shock injury. Keyword: shock. This injury was shocking, but not for reasons that you may think.
Recognizing the power of one unstoppable star can be thrilling for some and infuriating for others. Sports commentator Stephen A. Smith had been shouting from every available platform that Caitlin Clark was not just a rookie sensation, she was the show. He argued that she single-handedly unlocked better media coverage, bigger crowds, and those elusive chartered flights the league always wanted. Stephen A. didn't mince words either. He called out the league for dragging its feet, ignoring that Clark was the rising tide that could lift all boats. Angel Reese, meanwhile, wasn't as convinced. Although she respected Clark's game, she felt overshadowed. Others chimed in on both sides, some echoing Stephen A.'s sentiments, others accusing him of being too fixated on Clark's star power. Fans took to comment sections, duking it out over whether or not the hype was fair, or if the WNBA should be about teamwork and shared glory. One thing was clear: love her or hate her, everyone was talking about Caitlin Clark, and that's exactly what the league had been waiting for, though they seemed hesitant to admit it. Just when it looked like Caitlin Clark might lead the Fever through a record-breaking season, a simple announcement turned everything upside down. The news came straight from the Indiana Fever's front office: Caitlin Clark would be sidelined for at least 2 weeks with a left quad strain. Fans panicked. Media outlets tripped over themselves to post updates. Talk radio and sports shows were in full meltdown. Even Stephen A. Smith started an entire segment devoted to the possible aftershocks of Clark's absence. Nobody was surprised that basketball injuries happen. That's part of the game. But in Clark's case, it felt like a nuclear bomb had gone off in the league. All the momentum, all the sold-out tickets, all the planned primetime showdowns were now in jeopardy. The question was simple, yet terrifying to those relying on Clark's star power. Could the WNBA hold on to its newfound popularity without her on the court? As the news of Clark's injury sank in, an uncomfortable reality rose to the surface. The WNBA hadn't exactly bent over backward to highlight Clark's role in boosting ticket sales. Yes, they acknowledged she was a rising star, but their effort often tried to balance her name with other players, as if fearful of admitting that one athlete could overshadow the whole league. Critics wondered if this was a missed opportunity. Then, faced with Clark's temporary absence, the league tried to rally. They organized events featuring other well-known players, offered discounted tickets and blasted marketing emails about a variety of matchups. But fans were quick to notice the difference. The same sponsors that used to clamor for spots on FIFA game broadcasts started to sit back. Television producers openly worried whether the next few nationally televised games would look half empty. Where was the buzz going to come from if Caitlin Clark was sidelined in street clothes? The immediate fallout was brutal to watch. Teams that had scheduled their big rivalry games against the Fever were left holding tickets for expanded arenas, only to find entire sections unsold. Suddenly, social media was filled with photos of half-empty seats in supposedly high-demand games. Viewership dropped sharply for national broadcasts that had counted on Clark captivating every basketball fan within flipping distance of a remote. While some rival players felt relief, finally, the spotlight might shift their way. The overall mood in the league was grim. The WNBA had tasted a surge in mainstream attention. Now, with Clark sidelined, it felt like the spark was already starting to fade. Sponsors who once saw a chance for massive returns began reconsidering big ad deals. Would they pay top dollar for a league that placed so much weight on one star? Especially if that star was out of action? Here's the big question. Can the WNBA use this crisis to transform? Caitlin Clark remains a generational talent, and once she's healthy, every expert believes she'll surge right back. Yet the controversies won't simply vanish. Resentment toward the league's marketing choices, grumbling about star treatment, and whispers of deeper racial divides will still be there. Stephen A. Smith hammered home the point that the WNBA can't just rely on Clark without acknowledging the challenges around her. On the other hand, this might be a shot at unity. Could players like Angel Reese and other talented veterans rally alongside Clark, collectively boosting women's basketball to new heights? Some fans hope that once Clark returns, the entire league will be better prepared to promote its biggest star while respecting its other athletes. Others fear that this is another missed opportunity that will leave everyone stuck in a cycle of blame and frustration. The future hangs in the balance, and what happens next could shape women's basketball for years to come. Caitlin Clark stepped onto the WNBA stage and captured hearts in record time. Her lightning-fast rise brought sky-high expectations, millions of curious eyeballs, and the first real taste of mainstream success that the league had chased for decades. But fame can bring friction, and if her injury teaches us anything, it's that the WNBA's momentum is fragile. The league had a golden chance to break free of the same old story: struggling attendance, limited TV coverage, overshadowed talent. Instead, many believe they hesitated, uncertain about leaning too heavily on one transcendent star. Now, as Clark recovers, fans and analysts alike wonder, will the WNBA learn and finally embrace the massive draw that came out of nowhere? Or will they let the dream slip away, bogged down by old resentments, questionable marketing approaches, and a failure to see what's right in front of them? Only time will tell. But if the league wants to secure its future, it needs to protect, promote, and unite around the talent that can truly carry it forward. After all, every legend starts as a spark, and sometimes that spark is the only light in the darkness. If you're on board with Stephen A. Smith's point of view, or if you have thoughts of your own about Caitlin Clark's impact, let us know. Share your comments, keep the conversation going, and stay tuned to see how this story unfolds. Like, subscribe, and tap that notification bell so you're the first to know when the next chapter drops. And while you wait, remember this: the WNBA's future just might depend on how quickly it learns to harness the power of a single star who refuses to be contained.